Just over a year ago, I was clinically overweight. I had an awful relationship with food. I couldn't escape the binge restrict cycle. And as a med student who was anticipating that as soon as she graduated as a doctor, life was going to get so much harder, I had just resigned myself to this being my life. I just never thought that I'd have the time again to be healthy and prioritise my fitness and well-being to a point where I could build up healthy habits that lasted a lifetime. Now fast forward to today, and despite working full-time in the NHS and balancing this YouTube channel, I'm working harder than I ever have done before, but I've somehow managed to regain control of my health and fitness using these 10 simple strategies that hopefully will help you do the same. If you're new here, then my name is Faye, and I have made a fair few mistakes in my life, and the aim of this channel is to openly share those mistakes in the hopes that you can learn from mine and you don't have to make them yourself. I've split the video up into exercise, food and well-being. If there's an area that is particularly troubling you, I will not be offended if you skip. It's honestly the blueprint of how I maintain my health and fitness in such a demanding career, and I hope that it can be your blueprint as well. Let's start off by talking about exercise, because me and exercise have had a love-hate relationship over the years. I've gone from someone who exercised rigorously and religiously and only saw exercise as a means of burning calories to someone who has gone large periods of time without exercising at all, to someone who now doesn't exercise every single day of the week, but makes a considerable effort to integrate at least some form of movement into every single day. Habit number 1 is the time thief. So we're going to steal time that's already gone to exercise. Let me give you some examples. Your friend asks to see you. You know you haven't had any time to get in any exercise that week. You're going to be seeing your friend anyway. Suggest a fitness class that maybe neither of you have tried. ClassPass is great if you want to do something a little bit different, a little bit fun, or you could even just go for a nice walk in the park. The bottom line with exercise that I want to get across is reframing our intensive HIIT session as the baseline for what you expect, for what you see as exercise, to just moving your body in whatever way that you can. Walks aren't 100 burpees. Just because something isn't leaving you exhausted and sweaty, it doesn't mean that it's not better than just sitting at your desk or on the couch being completely sedentary. And guys, one thing that I've learned from periods when I am busiest is that not only is something better than nothing, but actually being consistent with doing something is so much better than sticking to a routine that you just cannot maintain long term. Another way to beat a time thief, the way that you make your way to work. For me, I've been a cycling girl. I know it's so not sexy. It's really not like a trendy way of exercising. Cycling along in my yellow jacket. Yeah, I don't look like the coolest kid on the block, and sometimes when people say to me, oh, I saw you cycling into work today, I do want the ground to swallow me up. But I knew when I started working as a doctor that I would definitely not have time for the gym, ever. As well as working full time, I was also trying to balance this YouTube channel, and that takes up a lot of time. So I knew that I needed to be really smart with my time. So for me to drive into work, it will take me 25 minutes. For me to cycle into work, I've now got it down to about 33 minutes, which means that there's a 7-minute difference between me cycling and me driving. But I'm getting in an hour's exercise. Now, if I was to go to the gym after work, that is an extra hour. Whereas for me to cycle into work, the net extra time that it takes is 14 minutes. 14-minute extra, and I get a whole hour extra in exercise. I'm a huge advocate for cycling into work if you want to sneak in your exercise, but I know it's not for everyone. And it doesn't have to be. Sneaking in your exercise could just be parking further away, walking into town instead of driving into town. This is something my mum always used to say to me because we lived in town, and I'd always be like, can we drive? And my mum would always give me these evils because it was a 5-minute walk, but I was a lazy kid. I was a really lazy kid. But it's easily done. Like, it's easily done. Guys, it will save you time in the long run because you're going to be adding years onto your life expectancy. Even having a good old stretch when you're watching the telly. Personal favourite that I really used to enjoy for exam season at medical school was The productive treadmill, a slow incline on the treadmill. You can do anything. You can binge watch a Netflix series, get your daily TikTok fix guilt-free, reply to emails, flashcards. That's a good one, but I think to trick myself into going on the treadmill when it was exams, I'd say the only time that I could go on TikTok was when I was on the treadmill, just so I knew that I was getting in a little bit of movement. Principle number 2, the ants in your pants. So the conversation around us not having enough time for exercise. Guys, I definitely do not have time for an hour and a half in the gym every single day. It's just, it would not happen. It wouldn't happen. But what's really interesting about the research around exercise is it suggests that if we do formal exercise, e.g. like an hour-long intensive class or an hour-long in the gym, something we see as proper exercise, we then actually end up being lazier for the rest of the day and almost undo the goodness that we did by doing the class. And like, I know this, but I'm still guilty of this, because if I cycle into work, there's no fucking way I'm walking up the stairs up to my flat. So the ants in your pants is all about just being more active and moving more throughout the day. I'm talking squeezing in a little 15-minute yoga class from YouTube. Guys, you have 15 minutes spare, just get it in. I used to think that 15 minutes was so pointless, because like, what is that, like 15 calories? But guys, it's not about the calories. It's not about the calories. But guys, exercise is so much more than calories. What's more is these healthy habits are gonna propel you to be healthier and implement further healthier habits. Make sure you're having a stretch. Make sure you're standing up when you get an opportunity. Personal favorite that again I implemented in exam season when I was incredibly sedentary is I would just walk around the library, and I definitely get a lot of funny looks, but I would just walk around in circles around the library, because sitting on your bottom all day is just it's not healthy. Third principle I follow is the anti-Apple Watch principle. Kind of touched on it already. Guys, forget about the calories. Forget about the calories. If there's one thing that I have learned from having a really disordered relationship with food and with eating, is the benefit of exercise way beyond calories. Guys, when you are exercising, you are boosting your self-esteem, because as soon as you're done with exercising, number one, you're happy that it's over a lot of the time. I know when I finish cycling into work, I'm so grateful to not be cycling anymore. It boosts my self-esteem so much that I managed to do that. And by boosting my self-esteem and making myself feel good, I'm less likely to emotionally overeat later on. My concentration has improved because I've exercised early in the morning. I've done one healthy habit of the day, and it's just so much easier to do a second healthy habit of the day. Exercise is a stress reliever. I cannot believe that I used to think that yoga was pointless because it hardly burned any calories. Guys, yoga is tough. Yoga is very hard, and it has incredible benefits in terms of stress reduction, working your muscles, breath work, mindfulness. The list goes on beyond the amount of calories that your Apple Watch is going to tell you. I think that as busy individuals, we want to get the most bang for our buck. I get it. I so get it. If you don't have that much time, you're going to want to get the most out of your hour gym session. And I think the default measurement that most of us go to is calories. So we fall into the trap of wanting to burn the most amount of calories in the least amount of time. But the problem is, if that is a HIIT workout and you hate HIIT workouts, there's no way that you are going to be sticking to that for the rest of your life. The most important thing when it comes to exercise isn't the calories. It is doing an exercise that you enjoy and that you will stay consistent with. It doesn't matter if it's not trendy, it's not what's in, it's not what is being spoken about on social media. It is what you want to do and what you can continue doing. If that is reconnecting with the sport that you used to do when you were a kid, so be it. If that is doing Just Dance on the Wii in your living room, then do it. The best movement that you can do, even as a busy person who wants to get the most out of their time, is the movement that you can stick to. Moving on to food. This is a really sensitive topic for me, if I'm going to be completely honest. I really have to fight the disordered thoughts about food from creeping up to the top of my brain on a daily basis. And it's also why I was really reluctant to use the picture of me when I was clinically overweight at the beginning of this video, because if there's one thing that I have learned from being clinically overweight, is nothing good comes from feeling bad about yourself and insecure in your own body. When I felt insecure in my own body and had low self-esteem, I just wanted to eat more, and I would never ever want anyone to feel ashamed or not welcome here if they were overweight or were obese. And I'm also not saying that weight loss is the right goal for everyone. Weight loss for me initially was a byproduct of me being incredibly stressed and completely losing my appetite. I didn't lose weight in a healthy way whatsoever, but I broke the cycle of losing weight, gaining weight, binging, restricting by finding peace with food and healing my relationship with eating. Principle number 4, the 12-in-1 vegetable chopper. Oh my God, if you are a busy individual who wants to be eating a little bit healthier, then guys, this is not sponsored, this is not an ad in any way, shape or form. I would actually also recommend getting a more expensive version because I got the cheapest version from TikTok Shop, and I'm gonna be honest with you, sometimes the knives get a little bit blunt and I don't think it's gonna see me through the year. However, it is the most incredibly time efficient way of meal prepping, and there's 2 ways that I like to use it. Number 1 for meal prepping, and number 2 for making like a salad when I'm having my lunch in the flat. So first, let's talk about meal prepping. Number 1, if you're meal prepping, you want it to be balanced, guys. I'm sure you've heard that your meals should be having a carb, a protein and a fat. Well, I'm gonna add in something extra as well. Not only should your meals have a carb, a protein and a fat, they also should have something fun. If there's something I've learned from having a disordered relationship with food, is carbs serve a purpose, protein serves a purpose, fats serve a purpose. But if you have all that but you don't feel mentally satiated, then you will go and you will eat what you were craving anyway. I will go into that in a little bit more detail later on. But guys, if you're not meal prepping, what's gonna happen is you're gonna get home from work, you're gonna reach for the closest thing to you, you're probably gonna eat shit, you're probably gonna feel shit, and then it won't even end up keeping you full for that long. I just feel like if you're strapped for time, then meal prepping is 100% the best thing that you can do with limited time. And prior to our plans changing, when I thought that me and Dylan were going to be doing long distance again, I actually decided that I was going to make our Sunday meal prepping, make it a little bit date vibes, a little bit more exciting so that we got it done, because last year when we were long distance, a lot of my Sundays were spent with Dylan in Loughborough, and thus I never meal prepped. I went into the Monday being completely unorganised and unprepared for the week, and I definitely felt like my free time and my health were negatively impacted because I hadn't prepared food for that week. So you've been a good girl or good boy and you've meal prepped on a Sunday, you've popped it in lunch boxes ready to go the next day. Next day comes, you go to work, it gets to lunchtime, and you enjoy your lunch, Tuesday comes along, lunchtime arrives, you look at your lunch and there is nothing less appealing to you in the entire world. I feel like that's a common complaint when it comes to meal prepping, and the solution for that, what I have found works, is mixing up the carb, the sauce or the dressing. So if I'm meal prepping on a Sunday, then it can be better if you tend to get bored quite easily of preparing different parts that you can assemble to your preferences on the morning before you leave for work. Obviously this isn't as time efficient, but it is more time efficient than hating meal prepping, giving up and then just reverting back to dodgy, disgusting canteen food. Second way I like to use the vegetable chopper is something that I saw on TikTok that I need to share. Chopping all the vegetables directly into the vegetable chopper, adding dressing and then just eating it directly out of the chopper when you've taken the lid off. Point number 5 is all about sweet sensory sensation, and this is particularly important if you are an ADHD girly or boy. Guys, if you are hungry, eat. Trying to silence and ignore your hunger cues is only gonna binge later on, but for me personally, there are times when I am not hungry. I have just eaten a meal, but there's still something that I'm craving, and it's not quite food, it's more of a sensory thing. And again, I saw a TikTok about this in relation to people with ADHD, saying that something that's really helped her is always making sure that she's got healthy sensory snacks and drinks. So for me, if I'm not like physically hungry but I'm sensory hungry, what I love making myself like a sparkling water with lemons and mint and just making it a little bit nicer than just a plain old glass of water. Or another great one, carrots and hummus, or just carrots by themselves, because I feel like they have that crunch and give me that little sensory satisfaction that I was craving, that I probably would also have gotten from a bag of Doritos or Pringles, but obviously it's a little bit healthier. I feel like that's a little bit of a tricky point because I think that can come across as a little bit eating disordery. If you're hungry, just eat a celery stick vibes. But guys, I'm not saying that. If you want food, eat food. If you want a slice of toast, eat a slice of toast. Point number 6, which I briefly mentioned earlier, is dessert stomach satiety. I think everyone has this universal experience of being a child and saying to their parents that they were too full to finish eating their main proper dinner, but they still had room in their stomach for their dessert. Now, obviously, as this is a universal human experience, there is something in our brain that means that we crave something beyond physical satiety. It's the same reason that we can eat a huge, massive, bland, boring salad and feel physically full but still be hungry afterwards. This is why I think it's so important to make sure that our meals and our snacks are balanced, not just in terms of carbs, proteins and fats, but also the fun stuff as well that we really want. So if you watch any of my vlogs, you will see that this sometimes results in some kind of weird and wacky combinations, e.g. a corn chicken nugget salad, because basically I was craving corn chicken nuggets, but obviously I wanted to get in some good healthy whole foods in there as well. Magic Stars, natural yogurt and fruit. And guys, I wouldn't knock it till you tried it. I felt very satiated at the end. Think of it this way, if I was craving Magic Stars, so I decided to make myself some yogurt and fruit, chances are the yogurt and fruit wouldn't scratch that itch that was itchy, and I would just end up eating the Magic Stars and maybe more afterwards. Or if I was craving corn chicken nuggets and I just made myself a salad, I would definitely still be craving the corn chicken nuggets afterwards and probably end up eating the corn chicken nuggets and more. A big change for me is getting out of the all or nothing mindset. All that happens from these mentalities of clean eating is you restrict yourself, and the only way that that is going to end up is a binge. Balance is key. Get out of your head that you can't mix traditionally unhealthy foods with traditionally healthy foods. If anything, adding unhealthy foods to healthy foods might be seen as healthier if it's going to be better for you mentally in the long run. Next, we're going to move on to the wellness section. So point number 7 is the gold star. Something that's really helped me with implementing healthy habits, especially when I don't have that much time, is trying to flip the dopamine balance. So what I mean by this is if there's a bad habit that I want to break, something that's a little bit more unhealthy, I will try increase the amount of dopamine that I get from doing the healthy habit rather than the unhealthy habit. And a really easy way that you can do this is by rewarding yourself. For example, by using something like a habit tracker. I either have a full video up right now or it will be up soon on my full habit system of how I break bad habits and stick with good habits consistently. If it's up right now, then I'll put it here. If it's not, I promise it will come shortly, and that will explain that system in a little bit more detail. Point number 8, the Millionaire Matchmaker. This is actually basically my entire habit system, and I go into more detail about this in the dedicated video, but it's all about creating rituals around the habits that you want to make stick and remain consistent in order to remove friction in your life to make the habits seamless. Every time you have to motivate yourself to do something, you use up energy and time. Every time you have to be more disciplined, you use up energy and time. When you form habits that are so part of your muscle memory, they do not take any extra effort whatsoever. And when you're someone who is in a really stressful career, honestly, you just don't really have the time or the energy to be motivated and be disciplined outside of your job. Point number 9 is the gratitude GC. I'm awful at journaling. It's definitely something that I am going to try implement, but I just have never ever been able to get into journaling. And I also know how important gratitude is for your mental health, but without journaling there was a point where I kind of didn't think how I would be able to implement it into my life as like a regular habit if I wasn't writing it down on paper. Enter the gratitude group chat. Guys, if you have a small group of friends who maybe are feeling a bit crappy or maybe just quite keen on improving their mental health, thinking a bit more positively, or need to get themselves out of being down in the dumps, then make a group chat with them, and every single day you're gonna say 3 things that you're grateful for every single morning and hold each other to account when you don't do it. For me, this has been the easiest way to implement daily gratitude into my life and make it sociable, accountable, all the things that make habits actually stick in the long run and ultimately improve my mental health. Daily gratitude can seem so unnatural initially, but practicing daily gratitude is proven scientifically to literally change the neural connections in your brain so that you focus more on the positives every single day. Looking after our mental health is key for emotional regulation, stress reduction, day-to-day motivation, and personally, when my mental health has been bad, I lose the motivation to look after my body and fuel it with good, nutritious, healthy food. Last but no means least is kind of the most important point of the entire video, and that is the Brain DMC. If you don't know what DMC stands for, it stands for Deep Meaningful Chat, and this point is all about having emotional awareness to look intrinsically when we're slipping back into these bad, healthy habits. For me, the biggest one is emotional eating, and emotional eating does not come from the ground, guys. There is almost always a reason for it, and previously I might not have recognized that it was a reason. I might have just been mindlessly eating to numb any sort of pain. Then I kind of probably started to realize that I was mind eating because I felt bad. And then the third layer, guys, is when I could pinpoint what it was that had maybe happened in that day, or what had maybe triggered me to feel a certain way that had made me want to eat my feelings, basically. And do you know what, guys? Food is comfort. There's no getting away from it. And actually, I'm not here to shame anyone for emotionally eating. Sometimes emotional eating is what we need. Food can sometimes feel like a nice warm hug. I'm not saying that emotional eating all the time is bad, but it's just so important to have that emotional awareness to recognize actually what it is that is fueling those feelings so that we can deal with them, address them. And then, do you know what? If we still want a bit of ice cream, or we still want a chocolate bar and some crisps, then eat the chocolate bar and crisps, eat the ice cream, you know? As long as we're tackling our emotions and facing them head on. My favourite way to do this, as you may or may not know, is a brain dump. A brain dump. Now, brain dumps are often spoken about as tools for productivity, but personally, I love a brain dump for emotional feelings and whatnot as well. Journaling is also a great way. As I said, I'm really not that good with journaling. I think it's also because my handwriting is so bad. I hate writing anything. It just kind of irritates me. And then I'm always worried that if I journal on like my phone or my laptop, someone's going to read it, and that'll be really embarrassing. So I'm just not very good at journaling. But brain dumps, speaking to a friend, journaling, whatever it is that helps you not run away from your feelings and address the reason that maybe you don't want to get up and exercise, you don't want to get up and do anything, you don't want to treat your body right, maybe you don't want to eat anything, or maybe you want to eat everything. Just having that understanding of yourself is so important. As I mentioned earlier, the Millionaire Matchmaker video about how I make habits stick will be really useful as well, so I'll just link that here if it is up at the moment. If not, then I'm going to link my video on how to achieve more by doing less. That's really helpful if you're looking to create more free time, maybe because you want to spend more time looking after your body and being a little bit healthier. Also, a vlog. There's going to be a vlog here as well if you just wanted to see maybe how I implement all these habits into my day-to-day life. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful week, and I will see you in the next video.